So the implementation is really where the real work starts. It is the actual work of getting your software put in place. And while you may think it's in understanding you need to change, or maybe even selecting the right software, that is relatively easy comparatively. Jumping into the implementation, you have multiple different phases. It can go from 6 months to a year, or even two for some of the larger packages. And there are many different aspects. You really have to have buy-in from the team of what it takes to do that. And so Bron Tapes in particular really came to the forefront. They had good resources. Those resources were involved. And you have to have that in order to be successful, because they're the people that know the business. And so all of their processes and how we can map those into functionality, as well as just being there throughout it step by step and engaging. But they couldn't do it alone either. They really needed additional help. So they reached out to us as we'd help them through the needs and selection. And we really stayed involved with them throughout, because our primary goal is to make sure they're successful. And so we really did that with them. We were there on the scene throughout the implementation. We helped them through process mapping. We helped them through understanding how the processes might change. We helped them through the training and the user acceptance testing. So all of that was really key to making sure it's a success.
For me, I think it should be easy. This is what they are. These are the part numbers. Just bring this from this system into this system, and everything should be copacetic. I know it's not like that. And because we are so complex, we sell, for example, one product that we sell might have 16 different colors, and we sell that one product in literally 1,600 different iterations. I was nervous. We wanted to be safe, so we were working directly with the developers to try to customize some functions of the ERP, because we're a complex business. A lot of people purchase parts and bring them in and build things. We bring things in and deconstruct things to build things. And so in that process, like I said, we were working with the developers, so we postponed our implementation, I want to say a handful of times, at least 3 times we pushed. And then we made a decision that we were going to turn it on and let the balls fall where they may.
Probably one of the biggest surprises that we had was that we had agreed on maybe 10 different things that we knew we were absolutely going to do, like a customer portal and a couple other things, and at the end of it, we didn't do any of those things. So we ended up with a software that worked and we could bill our customers, and we were all happy about that. So we did not get all the extra things that we thought we were doing up front, but then we realized afterwards that it was difficult to do all those things at once, and 2 years later we're still kind of doing slow upgrades, but it was not what we thought it was at the beginning. Data migration was probably more difficult for us than it is for other customers, because we had 12 systems that were separate, and we called the same part number 20 different things. So we had to migrate all those inventory items into one part number, and we had to somehow condense those and make sure we didn't make mistakes. And that was a big deal with the actual inventory that's out on the floor. So we had an issue with that, but that was just a giant piece of the project. That was a ton of hours allocated to that, and we did it with a little pain afterwards. But it had to be done. So that was a big issue with taking a whole bunch of companies and kind of condensing them into 4. But yeah, that was not fun either. But we did it. So we had several taped sessions with the integrator that helped show us how to do all the processes. We had some internal videos that we took, and that was pretty much it. So we did a lot of testing in Sandbox. So a lot of real data dumped in there to be able to test it, and we had a lot of people participating in that. We tried to be a little bit more realistic about all the things that we could get done. We were trying to do so much all at once. So it probably would have been smarter to be upfront about taking a few pieces and then a few pieces again, and then realizing that it's a 2-3 year project to get it exactly like you want it. It just needs to be working. So that was a victory. So just to turn it on.
I actually think our implementation was better than I expected. The time leading up to it, we did have a focus on training. We did use recordings of Zoom videos that we did. We did make some internal training videos. We had actually we developed an LMS or using an LMS just to get this going. And I did live training in all the branches to really make sure that all the employees that didn't have any buy-in, didn't have any say in the matter, still felt that they understood it, because change is hard for anybody. We wanted the adoption rate to be through the roof. So I was very happy with it. Coming from a background of web design and launching, clicking that go live button is the scariest thing ever, and it went better than we expected. Not to say it was perfect. It's not to say that there weren't slowdowns, weren't surprises. Everybody should know you're going to have surprises. It's about minimizing, not eliminating. Balancing the workload is tough because everybody still has their day job. And so getting information from people that have other priorities to do, getting detailed feedback and stuff, it is hard for any company. For us, I really transitioned out of marketing into project management for this, so that we had a single resource who was laser focused on moving this down the line, getting it launched on time. And I think that was a good move, especially because I'm still basically doing that, because we're still customizing it, we're still tweaking it. It's never ending for us. And I respect Bron for doing that, as opposed to saying it's launched, it's good enough. Like, no, we're constantly improving it, and that does take hands-on PMing. Implementing was one of the easier parts of the project. Some of the biggest surprises that we experienced were in the training and the live trainings. We were asking some questions that had never come up. Like, oh, that's important. We thought we had most of our T's crossed and I's dotted, and we learned some things there. Looking back now, should have expected it. That was the main thing. Getting delays a couple of delays in go live wasn't necessarily a surprise. We knew the workload and the data part. The data was one of the biggest, most frustrating parts of ours. Merging data from different sources into one is never a fun task. But actually, the go live process, not a ton of surprises. And because I think I had the most high level view of the data that we currently had, the challenges we would have in migrating it. I have some background in it, so I had started some internal cleanup procedures and really had a firm grasp of the problem. For a company that didn't have a data analysis, somebody like me to assess it, they would need a company like BAG to really open their eyes on it. It's because I think a lot of people would misunderstand. Oh, I think this is easy. They're the same items. Like, no, there's 12 different ways we have it entered in the system. And unless you have near perfect data consistency, which nobody does, it's going to be a huge part of the project.